The strangest request I've ever received was.
Oh my gosh. I just had that. And what was it? I was like, oh, it was a wheelchair.
I remember.
I was like, okay, I've been in this for 15 years and I've never had somebody need a wheelchair, like within an hour. And I'm like thinking, as a wedding planner, like your job is to fix everything. And I'm like, I don't know if I could fix this.
Girl,
Strangest
It was crazy. It was crazy. We got it done. We got the wheelchair, but it took some doing.
Yeah.
Colleen showed up, clipboard in hand. Already knew the groom would not stick to the plan. Fixes florals, finds the ring. Knows which uncle's likely to karaoke sing. She's a calm while your mom's in a spin. She's a smile when the cake caves in. No one, no spells, just sharp and clean. The chaos whisperer, yep, that's Colleen.
Okay, so you got the ring, you're planning a wedding and feeling the overwhelm. Well, you're at the right place. This is Gwen with Hello Enamorada. Welcome to the Nearly Wed series, vendor edition, where we're dropping info and details for those planning a wedding, big or small. We got you covered. Enjoy this episode.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you guys.
Thanks for having us.
here.
Thank you.
Did it. This is our first season. We'll see how it goes. But I'm really happy to have Colleen and her sidekicks here, Kimberly and Jessica. So thank you guys for taking the time to hang out with Mao and I. So how are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
We're doing excited to be here.
All right, awesome. So let's kick off. Let's set the let's get the setting straight. So I know that when we get on socials, we see a lot of our brides really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So if you guys had the chance to give these brides a little pep talk before they go on and venture into wedding planning, what would that be? We can start with Kimberly.
I mean, I would say, especially if you don't have a planner, hire a planner. But also, if you have a planner, if you've hired a team to help you, lean into them. Lean into your wedding producer, your wedding planner, your wedding coordinator, whatever role they have, lean into them. Because so often I find that we will know of an issue the bride dealt with after the fact. And we're like, call us, email us, text us, like let us handle that for you. So don't be afraid to lean on the people that you hired to help you with your wedding day, because that's what we're here for. And we are good at putting out small fires and pivoting and finding solutions to problems that pop up. So let us do that for you.
Sometimes it's a psychology too of being a woman that you're just like, you by nature, we just take care of things. So even if you have hired someone on, you're like, it's my duty to do this. And then all of a sudden you just find yourself just overwhelmed with things. It's like, what happened here? Right?
Maybe you got the phone call, you got the email, you got the text. Reach out to us and let us handle it.
Beautiful. Colleen, what would you say?
My advice would be to sit down with family. I think it's really important to determine, especially your budget. You need to know how much is mom and dad going to contribute, how much can we contribute, how much are their folks going to contribute, or is there an aunt or an uncle that, so really know what the family is able to do, so that you don't go into, for example, picking a venue that might make you venue poor and you can't afford anything else because you've put all your money into that venue. So I always explain to my couples, make sure you have your budget down, and sit down with family, have that tough conversation, so you don't have to have the tough conversation later.
Beautiful.
And then after you've done that, work on a date, figure out your date. It's kind of a process. And to Kimberly's point, we don't just say that because we're wedding planners, but a wedding planner they'll help you save time and money. They'll shortcut things. They'll take you away from, pros that are not very good. They're very protective. Our industry is that way. That's our job, is to protect the couple and the client and the family and make sure they have a great experience. So I think get your budget down, have the tough conversation with the family, work on your dates, get your planner, and your planner will guide you every step of the way if they're a good planner.
That's such a great start, definitely. Can you tell us what venue poor means?
So venue poor we're finding is happening in our industry. What happens is that a couple gets really excited about a venue and they go out and they book the venue before they ever look at the rest of their budget or before they ever look at or have that tough conversation with family. And they realize that family was only going to give them a certain amount and that was for the venue. Well, there's a lot of other expenses. So they didn't budget for their photographer. They didn't budget for their planner, for their food, which are the other big expenses. And so because they've put so much money into the venue, they become venue poor. So you really want to make sure that you've looked at your whole budget first and how much do you have allotted for a venue? Then you go venue shopping.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And then we'll cover misconceptions here, like right
Sure.
after we get through this one. And then Jessica, what would you say?
Honestly, they did great in explaining it. But yeah, we're professional. We do this for a living. We've seen from A to Z, like we've seen it all. So we kind of know what we're doing. So just kind of trust the planner
And trust the process.
and trust the process.
Right.
Yes.
That's so true. And I want to add, definitely set your boundaries. I always say this, set your
Yes.
boundaries.
Right.
Beep, beep, beep. It should be like a little jingle.
That should be your music.
There should be a jingle, no, because setting your boundaries with your budget, with your family, with your friends will help you alleviate so much, right? Stress and misconceptions. Nothing, it breaks hearts more than expectations.
Yeah.
And when you hire us as a team, that's one of the very first things we do is we go over the budget first and we put together a whole very detailed Excel document and we invite the moms, if the moms are involved or parents are involved, whoever is involved in helping with that wedding, we want them to be on that appointment with us to go through every line item. So we give them a number and we are their reality. I mean, sometimes they'll have a couple come in and say, well, I have $25,000 to spend. I have 250 guests. I'm like, okay, you can't do it for that amount unless you're doing it in the backyard and half the things are being donated. And so there's ways to do it, but not sometimes what their expectation is.
Let's talk about misconceptions. I know that we run into a lot of misconceptions. Like there's so many, but a very common one right now with the rise of content creators is the idea that, content creator can replace professional video. And yeah, if you have no budget for video at all, that's, definitely a great option, but they are very different services. So in your industry, when it comes to the role that you play, what are those misconceptions that you commonly hear and see your couples coming to you guys with?
Well, go ahead, Kimberly.
Well, kind of going off of what you said, one of the big misconceptions on the design side is that your backyard wedding will be cheaper than renting a venue. Now, of course, there's a lot of variables that go into this. What is your guest count? What is your design like? But if you are wanting to have, you have a 200 guest count wedding, you want it tented and lighting, you will spend more than if you went to a venue, and especially a venue that already has rentals. A backyard wedding doesn't mean it's automatically going to be cheaper. You have to look at what kind of rentals you're wanting to bring in, your guest count, your design. So be open to also looking at venues. See if once you kind of look at this budget document that we already talked about, how will this venue actually save you money because they already have rentals and items that can meet your need. Maybe they have an outdoor wedding option, but then they have an indoor where we can pivot if the weather isn't as great on your wedding day. So that's a big one. That backyard wedding does not automatically mean it's going to be cheaper than
That's a good one.
venue.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Misconception, I would say, is budget. Going back to the numbers. I mean, it's shocking for some of our clients when we sit down and really go through the numbers with them. And the areas that shock them are the cost of the venue. Flowers are a huge expense right now. Since COVID, flowers have doubled in cost. Photo and video is pretty standard, but just going through all those line items with them, I think they're always very surprised. They don't have a really good feel unless they have a friend that recently, got married, or that they know of somebody that got married. So they kind of have an idea of what they spent, so then they know coming into it. But I find budget is a big one. That they're a little, and I start there because we really need to know. And I tell them that I I really can't, we shouldn't be picking your venue. We shouldn't be picking your photographer until I know where you stand on your budget. So then I know what area I can go into. I know what type of photographer I can pull for you for your event based on your
Beautiful.
budget.
So when couples come to you, what is the process like? What can they expect?
So we start off with the budget. I keep saying that, but that's the place that you start.
Mhm.
It's the budget.
Budget
And
is
then
plays
it's,
like
it's
the
key.
start
Yeah.
of the
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
And then we have an entire to-do list for the client and then for us. And we started that. It's a document that we share. So their budget doc is a document that we share. They have full access to it, so they can update the doc. We can update it. There's a to-do document of little things that they have to do. Buy your wedding dress, start your invitation list. And we did that because several years into it, I had a bride come to me and she said, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I need a list. I thought, oh gosh, yeah, that makes sense. They don't automatically know that they should be looking at their invitation list or, making their
Sending
plan.
out the save.
Right. Or say the date or when does that go out? And so we have a very detailed list, literally by month, of what they should be doing. And then I was building a website a couple of years ago and I thought, God, I've spent so much money on this website. I don't know what the website designer's doing. I have no idea. And I thought, that's how brides feel with us. They give us, their money, but they don't know what we're doing behind the scenes. So we developed a list for us that we plug in all the things that we're doing. So the bride can open that up
and
in a
see
Google
it real
Doc
time.
and see exactly where we're at with the process.
That is really
it's
cool.
kind of like I always tell our clients, it's our report. So you can see how we're doing, and that we're getting things accomplished. And it also validates why you have a wedding planner. They're always a little taken back, but it's a list. It's really long.
And
It's very detailed.
it builds what? Transparency.
Mhm.
So
True.
we know
Very
that
true.
so much in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And it builds transparency, and also too, it builds this knowledge that now the people who have worked with you, the couples who have worked with you, if there's anyone else, in the family or with their friends, it's like, oh, a wedding planner.
No.
Now they have all this information. You're like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
They do X, Y, Z, and here's the list. It's not just that. So it's great that by doing that, you're also training the couples to understand the value and the things that planners do.
Yeah.
That's actually what I was going to say about the planners. Just because you have a friend that has planned little birthday parties or a baby shower or some type of event, it's not the same as hiring a wedding planner.
Yeah.
I feel like we're the insurance that you didn't know you needed to have, which you need to have.
Because we keep our clients involved. So again, we've used the word transparent, but we're coming on this ride with you. Mm-hmm. We're not taking over, doing it all for you without you knowing what is going on in the process. So whether it's money, whether it's meetings, whether it's here's where we're at within your planning process, they're with us the whole time.
That's true. And then going a little bit over to what Jessica said about the friends planning the wedding, that's great and everything. But one of the things that no one prepares you for is that you will always have something to troubleshoot on the day of the wedding. Always.
Yeah.
Like a list of troubleshooting. That's I always tell them, that's literally what most vendors do. You troubleshoot.
With the fixers.
The fixer-uppers.
And smile.
Right?
Yeah.
So for someone who doesn't have experience, if something bad happens, it's like, well, I mean, you don't want that to be the case.
You have to know where to pivot, how to pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. So Colleen, tell us a little bit about how Fairy Godmother came to be.
We started 15 years ago. I had a career in banking. My dad was a banker, and there was 4 girls in our family, and one of us was going to be a banker, and I was chosen. But my mom was very social, so I always like to talk about my mom. You guys would all love her. She's Portuguese, very she'd be feeding us right now. She'd be bringing us strawberry shortcake. And she's very much the hostess, and she raised 4 girls, and that was her career. And she threw parties for my dad all the time. It was either an event for the board of directors, or because eventually my dad became the president of his own bank, started 2 banks, and so I learned a lot from my dad, because at dinner, he would be talking about the new logo for the bank and what's, how to pick the board of directors. And I know how to start a bank. I could literally start a bank today. And how to brand the bank and what's the slogan going to be and how are we going to treat the employees. And And I have great stories about my dad, but one of my favorite stories, not to sidetrack all this, but
I love it. Yeah.
he was in a beautiful building, and his last bank was a 2-story building up by the airport in Fresno. And the executive staff had an elevator to their executive offices. My dad was the only executive that would come through the back where the tellers and the new accounts people would come, and he would do that on purpose. And I would always think, because I worked at the bank, I would always think, why is he coming through the back? Like, he's got an elevator, literally it takes him to his office. But he would do it on purpose because he would want to greet and say hello to every single person on that floor. And he always taught me that we're important, but without this team, that means nothing. We won't have that up there. And I remember that so well. And I think that's one of Fairy Godmother's strengths, is that we treat the server, we treat the busboy. We're kind to everybody, because without them, we can't deliver these beautiful events.
Right.
It's a team.
So you just reminded me of the very first time that I worked with Fairy Godmother. I was probably 4 or 5 years into the wedding industry. And by this time, I have never had anyone serve me a plate of right? So Colleen comes over. I'm not sure if it was you or one of your girls. I know you were on at that wedding, and they're like, "Hey, your plate's ready. This is a really great time to go eat." And I was like, "What? What?" And then we come around to the corner, and there's like all these little vendor plates, plays with our napkins and utensils and our drinks, and I'm like, what? VIP? I felt like, I felt so special. So you are absolutely right that your services extend far beyond,
for sure,
just your couples.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But to answer your question, didn't plan on being a planner, an event planner at all. I chaired a conference in Bakersfield called the Bakersfield Business Women's Conference. I chaired the conference 14 years ago. Didn't know what I was doing. It was very scary. It's 1,500 women. It's a huge event. And I just realized I've got all these skills that my mom taught me from hostessing people. And that's what we did. We were hostessing a conference for women, a business conference. And I had a florist at the conference, and then Mark from Freestyle Entertainment, that Mark came after me. He was like, "Why aren't you doing events? You are in the wrong world." And both Mark and Jared, every chance they would get, they would, pull me aside and go, and this went on for like 8 months. And so I started looking, okay, what do day of coordinators do? At the time they were called coordinators. What do day of coordinators do? What does a day of person do? And just did homework, went to a bridal show in September, and walked out of the bridal show because there was like 4 other wedding planners in the bridal show. And I thought, there's already enough wedding planners in this town. They don't need another wedding planner. And then I remembered there's double the amount of photographers. So if there's that many photographers and not that many planners, there's probably room. One of the girls at the bank was getting married. I talked to her in October, and she was getting married January 2010. And I said, "Megan, I want to do your wedding. I'll be your wedding planner. I'll just do it for free, just day of." And she's like, "Absolutely." And so that first wedding, I was hooked. I had so much fun. The caterer manager wouldn't speak to me the whole wedding. I don't know what I did. I'd never met this lady before in my life. And at one point, she needed help serving. She didn't have enough serving staff, so I jumped in and served. And about 2:00, she pulled me aside and she said, "I owe you an apology." She said, when Megan told me she had hired a wedding planner, I was very unhappy. And she said, "Every wedding planner I've worked with stands around with the clipboard and bosses everybody around." And she said, "You literally were like in there with the food, picking, serving people." She said, "It didn't matter." And that, to me, I'll never forget that, because you're a part of the team. You're the conductor of the orchestra, and your job is to make the music beautiful. But if you have to get in and hit the drums, then you have to hit the drums to finish, the song type of thing. Is the way I think about it in my head. And so the first year, we did 22 events. We didn't have a website. We didn't have a Facebook page. We had the name. The color was lime green and coral with Fairy Godmother. I don't know how I came up with this. It was horrible. And we just kept getting referred. It was all referral based. And to this day, 80% of our business comes from referrals, not from Instagram, not from social media, not from, advertising or the Knot or Wedding Wire. It's all referral based. And that's what we prefer. So it kept growing. And I was at the bank for about 3 years. The bank president called me in. Another woman at the bank, basically turned me in and told him that I'm doing a business on the side. I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. And, you know, he said, I want you to do me a favor. And I felt like I was going to the principal's office because the bank president's office is very formal and you go through a secretary. It's like a process. And I sat down with him and he said, I want you to go to HR and I want you to get the documentation that you need in order to run this business and stay with the bank because you're now doing all the bank's events. And I was like, okay. So, and he said, I fully expect you to walk out of the bank and like, you know, go and say something to her in her office. I said, I'm not going to do that because this is all going to unfold the way it's supposed to unfold. And after that, I became very close to the bank president and we did some incredible events. But it finally came to a head where Fairy was getting too big. The bank wanted to promote me again. And I had to make a decision. I came home and told my husband, the bank wanted to send me to banking school and wanted to certify me in treasury, which are big expenses to the bank. It's $5,000 a week. So it's a $10,000 program they put you through. And it was a huge, huge deal. And I knew that. And I came home and I said, this is what's happening. My husband's like, time to quit. It's, you know, it happened. And so I went out on Monday and I quit.
That is wild.
And my boss was on a plane. I called HR and HR was like, he's on a plane. Can you wait till he gets off the plane? I'm like, yeah. And so he gets off the plane. He's like, wait a minute. I'm promoting you. Like, this is supposed to be a great. And they said, it is. And I accept all that. And I said, but it's just time. And so not knowing, but when you're an officer of the bank, because I was the senior vice president, you have to leave that day. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And went to the office at the cottage that we had and was like, okay, time to get busy, time to get working. And the cool thing is that Fairy has grown on the corporate side because you can't do corporate and business and work another job. So 50% of our business is all corporate. Nonprofits, grand openings, anniversaries, dentist office, medical fields. We do a lot of that. So, yeah. So we diversified, which really helped us through this whole kind of COVID mess. It's really helped a lot.
Beautiful. Do we need to?
No, just want to get this sort of I can imagine that leap of faith that you had
Scary.
To do it.
So you had to leave.
What did I do? I mean, what did I do? I was at the office and my office at the bank, I was like I was in the pit and I worked with ag lenders. So my name was Bauer. They never call me by my first name because it's a bunch of dudes. And they're like, where's Bauer? We need Bauer. And I was right in the middle of all that craziness. So then I went to the office. There was nothing. It was like total silence. Like, what have I just done? So, but I just, decided, okay, you got to make up that income. Got to figure it out.
How many years ago?
6.5.
Wow.
Yeah. Never go back. And 2 weeks into it, I remember driving by the bank parking lot thinking, I don't ever have to go there. I don't ever have to drive in that parking lot if I don't want to. Never. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Story. That's huge. That's a huge deal. And now Jessica and Kimberly have been with you for how long?
I have been with Fairy for 6.5 years.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Beautiful. And what are your guys' roles in the company?
I'm an event producer, so I plan the whole wedding from top to bottom, anything in between.
Okay.
And then I'm lead event designer. So I design for Colleen specifically. When you hire her, you hire me. And I design what your wedding day or your event is going to look like. So that's what I do.
Beautiful. If you guys were helping a close relative find their wedding planner, and it couldn't be you, okay, what questions would you coach them to ask? And you guys can expand a little bit on like the red flags, the green flags of like wedding planners that you might be like, let's coach them.
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Basically.
If they aren't getting back to you really quick.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
It's a big one in the industry. Why?
Overall.
I mean, I'm always taken back. I have a client for you and I'm having to call you more than once to get you to return my call but they got to have a quick turnaround. But I would say, I always tell my clients, listen to your gut. Every time you sit down with a fellow wedding pro, listen to what your heart tells you. If there's a little red flag when you're talking to them or they're not talking the same language as you, or maybe they're not listening, that you need to move on.
Yeah.
So I always say, listen to that instinct. I feel that if they're pushy, we're not pushing. Like, we want you to want to work with us. We will explain everything we do. We're an open book. Our pricing is all on the website. Anybody can look at, our packages.
Right.
But I do that on purpose. As a team, we want you to want to work with Fairy.
Mm.
We don't want you to feel pushed or pressured.
Yeah.
So if anybody's pushing or pressuring, not a good sign. And to Jessica's point, there are so many hiccups that happen during weddings. The only thing that's going to get you through that is experience. So,
Right.
and I know it's
That's
hard
so
because,
great to hear.
yeah, you have to start somewhere when you're new,
Mm.
but that's why our team doesn't start planning until they've really been with us, sometimes 2 to 3 years, because they need to experience all of those hiccups and know what to do before we set them free.
So that's where, for me, I kind of have 2 points. One of which is kind of going along with what was just said, but like, if you were to look for a planner outside of us, 2 questions I would ask is, how do they communicate? How do they communicate with you, other vendors? Because that is a huge one that we're seeing just across the industry is communication, responsiveness, how quickly they respond, the way in which they respond. Are you having what should be professional phone calls and emails happening via text? Like, how are you communicating? And then going back to budget is, how are you handling my money? How are you going to handle my money?
Good one.
How is that transparency? That is a huge one. So communication, and how are you spending my money? How are you handling my money? How are the invoices being received? Just anything around that. Protect your budget, protect yourself. So that's what I would say.
Do you spend a significant amount of time helping couples on the budget portion? It seems like
It's almost every other phone call. Like, we're literally updating that budget together. Go ahead.
So how do you coach them when there is tension with a budget and they really want something, but it's just not in the budget?
Right. The reality.
Yeah, there is a point where you're there to advise them. If they go off a budget, they go off a budget. That's up to them. But our clients tend to trust us. We don't get a lot of pushback. Like, they know that we're leading in the right direction, and we are protective over their money. We've always been that way. We never want them at the end of the wedding to be 20,000 in the hole and not realize, how did I get that way? Like, we want, to Kimberly's point, we want to be very transparent with where their money is going. And we keep an eye on that budget. And that's why we have so many conversations, so it doesn't unravel and get out of control.
But I think that's where the experience, like what was mentioned, because with that experience comes connections. And so we can have a bride with any budget and still be able to find them the vendors they need, because we have those connections to know I can go here with a budget of this amount, or I probably need to take them here. So they will still get their vision, because we know different vendors to send them to based off that budget, because we have the connections. And so that is one to consider.
Yeah.
You weren't thinking about like helping other people. I mean, it was something that you were doing for yourself, but now you have a whole team.
Yeah, it just happened.
People.
And there's a story behind that, how it happened. I'll have to share that. That's a good story.
Yes, that's something that I would like for you to get into.
There is a story about that, because when I first started Fairy, I was so new and didn't know any better. I called Kyle from the Bridal Association. I remember I was sitting in the Tasters parking lot, and I remember calling Kyle saying, I'm thinking about starting this wedding planning business. Like, what do you think, Kyle? And I had known Kyle for years because he had done all the Banks events. And Kyle said 2 pieces of advice. 1, a wedding planner has no out-of-pocket expense. Basically, it's a business card, and I'm open for business. Other than, the other things like your website and such. He said, but a photographer, a DJ, they have thousands of dollars worth of equipment. So it is definitely an investment. So wedding planners come and go. So if you're going to do this, you do it for the long haul and you do it right. And then he said, the other thing is, your reputation is everything in this town. And I remember those two, and I always tell them those 2 things like mean a lot, and I did reach out to other wedding planners. There was like 3 other, none of them are in business now, but there's 3 other wedding planners that I reached out to, and none of them would call me back. They wouldn't call me back. They wouldn't email me back. They wouldn't Facebook me back, because we didn't have Instagram at the time. And I saw one of them at a mixer. They were totally talking about me. They were pointing to me, talking about me, but they wouldn't talk to me. It was awful. I remember that feeling like, I don't, and I'm not a threat. I'm doing a couple of events here and there. I work a full-time job. This is just a side hustle, but they would not speak to me. So because of that, whenever somebody calls me, I don't care if they're next door. I will talk to them. I will tell them about the business. I will share with them, and what ends up happening is they come to work for me, which is cool. But
It's so much work to start. Everybody thinks it's such like easy planning. And you're
It's a
just like, oh yeah, planning.
yeah, and you're dealing with, your
Doing
website,
something like
your-
that.
yeah, and the IRS. I get IRS docs, and your, workman's, like all the things. There's so much that and I have to be. I've just been very trusting because you do invite them into your world, and I share everything with our girls. Like they're a big part of what do you guys think of the logo? It's not my decision; it's our decision. And they work for us for a while, and the whole team, the core team, are the ones that approve bringing people in. I always tell people that you can come in. I'm not going to be the ultimate one to decide.
Yeah.
Like I ask the team, what do you guys think of this person? It's a group decision before you ever come into core. You have to be accepted by these guys. So and it works
Yeah,
because
it's true.
Jessica knows, like Jessica sees them away from the environment, or she away from me, because they'll act different around me, but Jessica can be there with them during the assisting, and Kimberly can watch them. How quickly can they set up? Do they have a mind of their own? They're figuring things out. They know, and that's why I say it's a team decision. You don't come into the core group until these guys say
Yeah.
Come in,
Love it.
because it's always a pleasure to work in one of your weddings. It's
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
fun.
Okay.
You always have the best experience
That's
from our point of
good.
view. So I
He
can
just wants to
imagine
be
for
a-
wedding.
It's so true. And unless we have a podcast.
No, I want to go check on the
So what does the Fairy Godmother have an anniversary date?
January 2010, January 9th,
Oh my gosh, how many years is that?
15.
It's my daughter's birthday.
Special day.
And now you'll never forget.
I know.
This anniversary.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to some of the trends. I know that, nowadays everything's on social media and things
Mhm.
move so quickly.
Mhm.
And are there any trends that you guys are seeing kind of like emerge?
You're talking about designer twin?
Anything.
The black and white.
With
Black and white. Oh, there's so much black and white.
Yeah, I think on the design side, I'm seeing a trend even just when it comes to wedding parties, traditional aspects of weddings. So whether it's if you're going to do a full wedding party, you have 6 on each side, whether they're blended of females, males, close friends, just what does that look like in terms of who's supporting you? There's a lot more fluidity with what those wedding parties are looking like. And some are choosing to forego them completely because they're no more important than everybody who's sitting here watching us get married. So a lot is changing with the wedding parties, which I love. And then also color. I feel like color is going away. I love black and white weddings. I love the timelessness of it, the elegance, how you can make it elegant or modern. But I don't want brides to be afraid of color. So that's one of the trends that's going away. And the thing with especially design trends is that they can tend to be short-lived. The trends this year will be different from next year. So I understand the black and white because it'll still be a bit relevant 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, but don't be afraid of color.
That's true, because at the end of the day, everyone talks about timeless. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
so done with that word.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it
Right.
to have a
Yeah.
timestamp on it. Sorry to bust like so many bubbles, but you have to make peace with the fact that there's going to be definitely a timestamp.
Yeah.
Either with your hairstyle, with your dress style, or with whatever it is. It's just
There's-
part of. And
We
it's
also-
beautiful. Embrace it.
Yeah, we see a lot of the brides have gotten away from bouquet toss. We're almost doing no bouquet. I don't even ask anymore. We're not doing it at all. They're not
Garter
doing
toss,
the
too.
garter toss.
Garter.
Yeah, and
Almost even cake cutting is going
yes.
Yeah. I've noticed people don't even do cakes a lot anymore. They'll just do like maybe a little sheet
Champagne
cake
tower.
or champagne tower or cupcakes, and there's no cake. And I'm like,
Kind of have cake.
I think they're
So what's
changing
the
where
wedding
they're
thing?
putting the money, though. I think they're
Yeah.
changing where they're putting their money because they're like, why am I going to spend this much money on a cake that all my guests aren't going to eat? Or there's more even food allergies nowadays where.
I love it.
So I think they're changing a little bit of where they're spending that money.
Mhm.
But we are seeing a lot of those traditional elements not being used as frequently as they used to.
I am seeing though they're coming back with cakes. Like I'm noticing my brides now that I'm working on, we're back to cakes. I'm like, oh thank God, because I love a beautiful wedding cake, and I'm a big sweet, so I'm like, okay, and your wedding cake
I'll just
Okay.
say it. I mean, like the whole reason why I got into weddings was
to the cake.
to the cake.
Yeah.
I know. So I'm
Right.
happy to see that. I feel like it's coming back. Like I see it coming around. It's coming back. Where the bouquet and the garter, not at all. Not even talked about.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Are there trends that you want to see more of, or is there something that you've been itching to create for your couple? So you're like, oh, I haven't seen it yet, but man, can't wait to make that happen.
I love personalization. Like I love when a couple brands a wedding.
Mhm.
You know, when they have a certain style or we.
A logo.
Yeah.
Monogram.
Yes.
Mhm.
What else? What else comes into
I think, and Kimberly does a great job of this in her design, and Jessica as well, is really, I like for guests to come to a wedding knowing the couple, but to leave knowing them even more. So learning something about them, maybe they're huge bicyclists, so their napkins have bicycles on them, or there's a fun bicycle around, or they have pets that nobody knew they had, and so the pets are on the bar sign. So really, both of these guys are really good about pulling out personality so that it's not just a wedding. Like it's an experience.
Add that personalization to your wedding.
Yeah.
And you can do that in these small ways. It doesn't cost a lot to get
Right.
custom cocktail napkins or
True.
the drink stir. So you will find that in all my designs because guests want to learn, like Colleen said, more about you. They love those personal details. They're going to take a selfie with their drink on top of your bar napkin. So, kind of find ways to personalize your wedding. I think we're seeing more of guests are caring more about the experience of their guests as well.
I was just going to say that. Absolutely.
And sometimes these personal details do add to that experience. How does their bar look? I think the bars are getting more attention. What the bar looks like, the bar setup, the signature drink sign. What does our drinks look like? What kind of glassware are we serving our drinks in? The bar is getting a little bit more attention.
We're fancy. It's getting fancy.
Definitely doing more experiences, social. It's like almost like the third space now for like
I also
within our
see-
communities.
I also see smaller guest counts.
Yeah.
A lot smaller. I mean, our average wedding, I have a lot of friends on the East Coast. They're like, we have a big wedding. It's 100 guests, 150 guests. I'm like, it's like 400 guests.
Yeah.
So we, especially in Bakersfield, we have big weddings, and our average wedding was 250 to 275. That was just for a fairy wedding. Usually that's our guest count because we're dealing with very big venues, big yards. They can invite all their family and all their friends, but I'm noticing they're a lot smaller. Like the guest counts are going down to 150, 100. We just booked a wedding. The guest count's 70. So I noticed that they're really bringing their guest count down because they want to be able to talk to each guest and mingle with each guest and, create that warmth and not have this huge event where I don't really get around to talk to everybody.
Have that two-way, right, experience with your guests.
Yeah. And you can do so much more. It's sometimes clients will come to me, well, I need to cut my budget. I'm like, if you cut your guest count, the whole budget will come down because your guest count is your tables, your chairs, your linen, your flowers, your food. I mean, it's everything.
Yeah.
So if you can really hone in on who is it really important that I want to have at the wedding, that will make a big difference on your budget.
Yeah.
You don't have to invite cousins and, second extended, like really focus on who do I really want there?
Yeah.
So
And even if they're small weddings, a lot of people will have this idea that just because they're small and micro, it's like, oh, it's going to be simple. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Absolutely.
you can actually be more extravagant.
Yeah.
Because you have more budget.
Yeah, there's more to play with.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about vendor relationships. I know that when we work more on the wedding day, it happens often that we are really just focused on getting our, job done, tasks done, that we forget that we're a bigger part of the day. What are some of the things that you see vendors may be overlooking when it comes to timeline or, the services that you provide? What are those things?
I feel like we're really good on adding everything into the timeline. We make our timelines very, very, very detailed. So we will put anything from this is the time you set up, this is what you have to do when you start like your whatever you're doing. So let's say the bar. If this is the time you open the bar, this is the time that they're gonna start this. So shut the bar down for so many minutes, and then you can open back up so that the guests will go and sit down. And then just like everything is in the timeline, honestly.
Yeah.
From
Our timelines are a work of art. They're sometimes 20 pages long. They are. I mean, they are blood, sweat, and tears sometimes of these
So you use your manuals.
they are. We're very, to Jessica's point, we're very cognizant of making sure that we've thought about, okay, I am Courtney from Golden Bakery. I need to know what time does that cake need to come? Is it going to go in the refrigerator?
Right.
Are flowers going to go on? Is there a cake topper going to go on it? If it's going in the reception, where is it going in the reception? And how do I get there? Like, can I pull in my car? So we always do our timelines for us, and then we go back and look at it for each individual pro to make sure that we've thought about their portion.
Right.
And then we share it. I mean, when I first started, I noticed that I'd have my timeline, the DJ would have their timeline, the photographer would have, and like, we're not all on the same timeline. I thought, that's got to stop. Like, we all need to be on the same timeline.
Yeah.
So,
What questions are the vendors going to have? We try to answer them all in our timeline.
and then we want to make sure that, especially we have the conversation with the couple first to make sure they've approved it. Then we go to the photographer, the DJ, and the videographer, the cinematographer, because that's your core group. And so that's really the most important people that day. And so after they bless the timeline, then we go to everybody else. Then we'll go to makeup and hair and catering, but not until our photographer and cinematographer blessed it, because they're the ones really controlling the day. And we're not territorial with our timelines. If we have a photographer that says, Colleen, I want to flip this around, or I want to do first look here, we will do whatever that photographer wants. We're just putting together what we think is right. But each photographer, each team has their own style. And so we will change it based on that. We're just like I said, we're the orchestrator, we're just making the music happen.
Beautiful. So how can vendors help you help your couple? What are those things? What are some of the things that...
How can return phone calls?
I was going to say communication.
It is a problem right now in our industry. I do not know what's going on, but literally Kimberly and I, and even Jessica, sometimes
emails, like
sometimes 3 and 4 times, and it's ghost, nothing. And we can't tell a client that we've got this great, professional that does amazing work, but I can't get them to call me back. And I literally am giving them $5,000 sometimes.
People don't understand how hard it is to get a lead in today's economy.
I think the problem is like,
and it's like, it's God sent almost.
Yeah.
When somebody says
It's a
to you,
gift. I'm giving you a gift. Like, please unwrap my gift and please take good care of it.
Yes, absolutely.
I think the hard thing is we're all so busy that's where could you benefit from having an assistant, someone to return those phone calls, emails for you? I think sometimes that's the problem. I like to give the benefit of the doubt that it's not that they're trying to ignore us, but we're all being pulled in so many different directions that when do you have time to sit down and check that email or listen to your voicemail? But still, nonetheless, that is part of your reputation. That's part of the image you're giving to your clients or potential clients. So something to think about.
And doesn't that differentiate the top tier vendors from those doing it part-time?
That's why it's important to have like a set vendor list. We have a full list, let's say for photographers. We'll have 1, 2, 3 photographers. And then if you return our phone calls, we'll add you onto that list.
Yeah.
We're not picky with like, no, you can't come on. You can't be with us.
Right.
We love to bring new people in to our vendor list.
And those top tier vendors, they know the importance of referrals. They speak a different language almost, right? Because it's definitely hard.
I think what happens too, Gwen, is that, I mean, being that I've been in the business for so long, I'm coaching a florist right now hard about like making changes in what they're doing and how they're doing things, because I think what happens is that, to Kimberly's point, nobody's doing that on purpose. It's not like they don't want to call us back or they don't want to talk to us. Like, they would be a fool, because we're giving them a client.
Mhm.
It's just they can't. And so what happens though is they get to that point and then it ruins their reputation. Where when you start to see, okay, I'm picking up, bring on a virtual assistant.
Mhm.
Bring on somebody that can handle your invoicing, that can return phone calls, that can get back to Kimberly with simple things, or can email and say, hey, I've got 3 jobs in front of you. I'll get to you on Friday.
Right.
Just communication is
Right.
huge in our industry.
Right.
I think and for us as planners, what the wedding and event pros need to understand is that we are the first ones they're talking to. So we are very valuable to your business. And when we give a lead, it's not a cold call. Like that client knows that here's Gwen's style, here's Gwen's contact information, here's her Instagram. She fits in your price range. She's a great fit. Then I'm going to turn around and tell Gwen, here's my client, here's their style, here's their date. It's a warm lead and we will connect you because our goal is to get them to book you.
Right.
So,
And so on that, one other way that other vendors can help us that I'm seeing a little bit, when you send that invoice, let us and the client know the best way to send the deposit. Make sure your invoices
Get
have
easy.
the deposit amount. What's your Venmo? What's your Zelle? What's the business address to send the check to? What's your preferred payment method? Because we have to gather that information to then give to our client. And so, it's a small detail, but I feel like it's one that, is getting maybe a little overlooked, or maybe they don't know that they should be having it on there. But what's the best way to pay you? What's the best way for our clients to send you the deposit and where to send it to? I think is a big one.
And I imagine too, all these little hiccups on the vendor side create a bottleneck for you guys because you're like, we are like literally doing more work.
Mhm.
And it's not
right?
necessary.
And we could have skipped this or skipped a step and continue on our workflow, and now we're just waiting to hear back.
And keep the wedding planner involved. Do not sidebar them or bypass them and send an invoice directly to the client. You have to copy us because something might happen. And many times what's great is that Kimberly's built a relationship with a lot of the pros right now where they're sending it just to Kimberly, and which is beautiful because Kimberly can look at it and go, nope, this is wrong, or change this or take that out before it gets to the client. So then when the client gets the invoice, it's beautiful. It's exactly what the client wanted. So Kimberly can protect you, and Jessica can protect you as a vendor or as a pro to make sure that you've got it right. Or you missed the cocktail table, you missed the bar, we need to add those things in. So allow us to do our job, because our job is to protect you. Because if we make you look good, we're going to look good. It's going to be a great event. The other thing that is a hot button for me is that I can't tell you how many times we give referrals and we never hear back. Like I just gave a referral. It was like a $7,000 referral to a DJ company. Didn't even know they booked. It was a simple text back. Hey, Colleen, thank you. Thank you. I don't need money. I don't need gift cards.
Even if
Just
peace
thank
emoji.
you. Just like say thank you. That we've given you this great referral. I found out that they were booked for my client, which is a little embarrassing, and so just take a moment to thank the people. We track every single referral we get, and every referral we get gets a handwritten note card. Because I'm going to take the time to say thank you. I mean, we don't get mail anymore, hardly ever, that we can touch. And I feel like in our industry, don't take that for granted. Like if somebody trusts you enough to say, hey, I want you to call Gwen, then say thank you. And even if they don't, and we're good about, if we've given 3 different florists, for example, we're good about contacting the florist they didn't pick and telling them why. Because I always tell clients, if they don't choose us, I always say, I want to learn from that. Like, tell me why you didn't choose me. Was it cost? Was it personality? Was it style? Like that helps me to grow. And they always tell me. They will tell you. And so we share. And I always feel bad when wedding pros don't say, why didn't they pick me? I want to know why. What did I do wrong? I had a videographer do that one time. And it's a great story. Huge wedding, a lot of money, and wonderful videographer, but came in not branded, way too casual in my outfit, and handed a piece of paper to the client. And I was like, you really want to know? I will tell you why. Because your price didn't match your brand and the way you presented yourself. And so I really helped them, and they flipped it and changed it. And And I'll use Donald Glenn as an example. Donald Glenn is like one of my very best friends. And I've had a lot of conversations with Donald about branding himself and his style and what he does. And I'm so proud of him. Every time he sits with the client, he has this beautiful folder. He has all of his brochures, like logo, like he's done everything I told him to do. And
I
it's
love
beautiful.
this. I love this because you're calling on fellow vendors to rise to the occasion.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that you continue to be like the pioneer and to kind of set everybody up to a standard in
A
the industry, right? And a potential that you're like, we're not just because the regular is down here or the common is down here doesn't mean that's what gets to be said about the industry. We keep it up here and we set the standards high and we keep them high.
Right.
And I love that call to action for etiquette to, make it back into the rounds of the industry. So
Colleen Cowie, who's a famous celebrity wedding planner, talks a lot about, and it's hard because it's still in my head about not using the word vendor. He did a whole hour-long program on it. And he's like, you're not a hot dog vendor or bubblegum vendor. Like, you're not a vendor. You're more than that. You're a professional. You're a creative partner. And so I'm constantly trying to remind myself to say wedding pro, event pro, creative partner, and trying to not use a vendor because vendor is something that, you're so much more.
I've heard, someone talk about that, kind of like the hired help. But even then, I'm like, hired help shouldn't even be around either.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
you're definitely, you're working in service of someone, obviously.
Right.
So we have that. And I think we were talking about something else that we're like, we need
Coordinator.
to.
We belong to an association called the American Bridal Association, and we learn a lot about what's going on in our industry. We go to a conference once a year. I'm on the board for the conference, and there's a lot of conversations about trends and things that are happening. And it's really because of the association that Fairy Godmother is still around, because during COVID, a lot of people lost their business. And I was able to tap into my East Coast friends on what are you guys doing? Like, how do we get through this? And about 2 to 3 years ago, the industry has really said we need to get rid of the word coordinator. Stop using the word coordinator. And so I'm trying. It's like vendor. It's hard.
Okay, let's do
it's
that.
a crutch.
Now we have vendor, and
Coordinator.
let's start replacing it with
Creative pro,
creative
event pro,
event pro,
or creative partner.
creative partner.
Yeah.
And instead of saying
Coordinator, it's
coordinator, right?
venue manager.
Venue manager.
Manages the venue.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did
So
have
we've
that
really tried to
before.
stop saying wedding coordinator. And we call ourselves event producers because we produce events, but it's event producer, wedding planner, event planner. It's very
I
similar.
love this.
Mhm.
Like, this podcast could be like 5 hours long. But before it's over, is there something you guys are working on, something you're excited and want to share that's happening with Fairy Godmother?
We have a new website
Yeah.
that's coming out on July 4th,
About
which
to
is
launch a
exciting.
website.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Like July 4th, like tomorrow?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it'll be out, I think, by the time this comes out.
Absolutely.
But that's been a labor of love. Yeah, I think that we have a conference that we're excited. We're going to New Orleans in November. That's exciting.
Yeah. Continuing to learn. Now I think right now that's kind of the biggest one is our website's been a big project that Colleen's been working on.
We rebranded, which was really hard because I went from this fairy godmother, like Walt Disney, like Cinderella kind of feel. And it's been maybe 2 years now, the team, because the team's very vocal, they're like, we need to rebrand. Like, we need a new logo. I'm like, oh, I can't let go of the fairy. She's a person.
We still
have
have
time.
I know. Like, it's time. So with a lot of persuasion, and I listen because the girls are hip, like they're young, and they like know what. And I don't want to be. You need to stay relevant. You
Right,
cannot
absolutely.
keep doing what you're always doing, or you will keep getting what you always get.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so I like change, and I like moving things up, and so. We went out and we had 3 people redo the logo. And then the team voted on their favorite logo. And so our logo was done by Chase, who actually used to work for us. We love him. And he did a great job and rebranded us to a very modern black and white luxury look. And then Mike from MC Dynamics did all of our brochures. And so he's the one finishing our website. So we're going from a very baby blue Disney floral site to a very modern
I
site.
love it.
Yeah. So,
Love it. A grown up site.
yes. Yeah.
I love it.
It's a good way.
Beautiful.
Grown up.
And where can people find you? Couples? Where-
Instagram, Fairy Godmother Inc., of course, or we all have our name, our first name, Fairy Godmother, Instagram as well. And then our website is fairygodmotherco.com.
Oh, yay. Well, Colleen, Kimberly, Jessica, thank you so much
Thanks for having
for
us. It's
taking the
fun.
time
Yeah, of
to come
course.
out and hang out with us and give some valuable insight, for those planning a wedding. So
Right.
thanks
you.
for
Yeah.
being here.
Oh, happy to be here.
We'll see
We
you.
need some pictures. Do you have?
Did it hurt? Did it hurt? No, it didn't hurt.
No.
It was so good.
What? That didn't hurt.
No,
Did it? Oh, did this for?
No. So thank you guys, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys at the next episode.